Right, welcome everyone to the Arena East Cornwall cluster meeting. Obviously, we thought this would be a good workshop for you guys, just to see if you all wanted to do some practice on what's going on within our area. Please feel free to write any messages in the chat section. We'll pick them up as we go through. Or if you want to take your mic off and answer any questions, a bit more of an interactive session rather than all just sitting there quietly, that would be quite good because I don't actually like the sound of my own voice. So it'd help me out if you were interacting with me. Claire Mitchell, are you still on this chat? Claire, are you still on this one? Because there's actually a second. Claire, just to let you know, you have got a separate link for the secondary cluster meeting.
It says she's left the meeting, Julie.
Does it? Oh, brilliant. Okay, mine's just not updated then. That's great. Megs, have you managed to share that document?
Yeah, I'm just getting it up.
Has anyone got any questions from the keynotes that they wanted to bring up or discuss just while we're waiting for the PowerPoint to come up? No, everyone happy? Is anybody out there? Right, we received some questions that came through from other colleagues throughout the county. So what I'll do, if I just go through them and maybe we can just discuss them, you can feedback any ideas, show any practices that you've been doing, or if you do, like I say, do any questions that you want to raise throughout the session, then just put it in the chat or let me know and speak to me. One of the questions was, it's probably answered a little bit now, the extracurricular, who's been doing what, how, during this second lockdown period of 2, what will you be doing? Are your schools still running after school clubs? Obviously listening to Sue, it will be a school's decision. Like we were saying, the opportunity to have lunchtime clubs instead of after school clubs if you feel that they won't be run. What has been the discussions within your schools so far? Should I just start picking on people? Anna, are you still running after school clubs at St. Catherine's?
Hello, I knew you'd pick on me. We have been up to this Thursday. We've put a pause on them whilst we try and recalculate, because at the moment we've got key stage bubbles for our clubs, and obviously now with the new lockdown we would have to take it down to just one class rather than mixing 2. So we've put a pause on them to see whether we can rerun them again now in autumn too. So at the moment they're on pause, but we are looking at how we make it secure so that it's just one bubble but without bubbles missing out. Yeah.
Has it been in discussions around maybe doing lunch times, or that just really come about from this morning's session?
That's only come out from this morning's session. I can't see it happening due to the fact that our lunch times they're already 20 minutes shorter than they used to be, due to the fact of having to get people into the hall without mixing the bubbles. So I can't see how they're going to manage to get the children to eat and out in time to do some sort of active club. But what I am looking at is using all of these documents through, like from the virtual games and from the summer games that we did last year, or through the lockdown, and use them as cards to put out in the boxes that the kids have for equipment, so that they've got some guided activities to do outside by using and laminating those sort of cards so that they've got something to follow.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, and even maybe using your oh no, you're not mixing your bubbles. Yeah, I was going to say year 6 leaders, yeah. But obviously we
can't mix bubbles.
It's bubbles. What about you, Ollie? Oh, go on, sorry, Michelle.
No, I was just going to say, for those of you who were on the chat this morning, you would have seen that I added something around the fact that some of our schools have put an extra box on consent forms to get parents to tick to say that the after school club is forming part of their wraparound childcare, because that may not be something that you readily know. But speaking as a parent who does use after school clubs so that I can still go to work, then I think that that is one way around it. And some schools have said that that has proved to be successful. So just sharing that with you, if you didn't see that on the chat this morning, that just putting that extra box in on your consent form may be a way around it. It also gives you evidence that the after school club is providing a child wraparound care support.
Yeah, good idea. Ollie Jones, what are you doing in your school or schools? You there, Ollie?
Do you mean me? I'm Olivia.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were Ollie. We've got an Ollie Jones as well, so that confused me because I just saw the Jones. Yeah, okay, Olivia. Sorry.
So normally with our after school clubs, the children pick what after school club they want to go to. So there's normally a couple of sport options within that, 2 or 3 sport options within our after school clubs. But obviously we can't mix the children. So this time they did a set of 4 after school clubs, but they stayed in their bubble. So one of those 4 clubs was a sport-based club.
Right. And do you think they'll continue going forward?
Yes, we are going to continue them going forward because the children are staying within their bubbles.
Yeah. Brilliant. What school are you from?
12 Point.
Ah, hi. Is that secondary or primary? Infants. Infants. Ah, right. Okay, lovely. So as you can see now, hopefully the presentation is actually on your screen. So these were the questions that I thought I'd just work through, unless you've obviously got any more that you wanted to ask me. This one was covered in the keynotes from this morning. When does the rollover PE funding need to be used by? Well, obviously that was the end of March. And what are schools spending their money on? Has anyone got any good examples of what they've been or how they're showing their rollover expenditure from their PE funding is being used? Who should I target this time? Joe, what about you from Burton? You there, Joe?
Sorry, I'm not unmuting. Sorry. Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm covering off this for those people that might be in the workshop later slightly, but it doesn't matter. So I'm using I have already used quite a large chunk of the spend to buy each class bubble a set of equipment largely for sort of lunchtime, break time, active break use. Although obviously it can be used within the kind of curriculum PE as well. We have a play pod on site for Key Stage 2, our 2-form entry school. So the play pod was a great resource, which under our current risk assessment is closed. So we've kind of thinking around how we can encourage children to be active with equipment whilst they can't use that equipment. So I've purchased each child from years 1 to 6, that's 14 classes, a skipping rope, a plastic bat and ball, and then within the class bubbles as well, they have some additional stopwatches, a large foam dice to do all sorts of activities that I've kind of placed on a card. Also, each child has a foam base station bubble or spot that they can put down to ensure kind of social distancing and mark where their activity is, and then some really large chunky chalk to do a little bit like in the video at the very beginning of the conference, where children can mark out their own kind of pathway and all sorts of things really. Unfortunately, due to kind of supplier issues, the equipment has been coming in dribs and drabs. It was ordered ages ago, and hasn't come in as quickly as I would have liked. So I'm yet to sort of allocate it in its entirety and yet to see any impact, but hopefully that will be really useful for staff.
Brilliant, thank you. We've had a couple of people put some notes in the chat box, so I'll just quickly, oh no, I was going to go and look at that, but then it's all gone again, so I won't. All right, we'll carry on through the questions. Can anyone, Michelle, can you see the chat element? He's not there either.
Sorry,
Oh, Dan.
yeah, I am here. Dan has said he's running clubs for bubbles. I added a comment to say that one school I'm aware of has bought a little home kit for children, particularly who are there concerned about not getting enough physical activity. So they've bought a little home kit for them and given them activities to encourage them to do physical activity at home. So I thought that was quite a nice idea, particularly targeting vulnerable students.
Yeah.
Pupils.
Yeah, that's good. Anybody else want to share anything?
Someone in the chat has put, we are running our clubs during an extended lunchtime in class bubbles.
Oh, so it sounds like most of our schools are getting around offering some kind of after school or an extra activity club sometime during the day, or some wraparound care.
Yeah. And I think it is really, really important. I know it is really tricky out there, but I was in a school yesterday that I'd not been in since March. And because I was obviously not having seen these children since March, I was absolutely shocked at how much weight some of those children had put on. And the TAs hadn't necessarily noticed it as much as I had, because I'd not seen them. And it was a real shock to me to see how much weight some of those pupils have put on. So I think whatever we can do in this next half term to keep our children physically active, it is really important for their emotional well-being, but also their physical well-being.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to check that you are all aware that bikeability instructors can still come into your school. Obviously, if your school agree to it, you should all be in contact with your bikeability instructors. I think most of you are. I just wanted to make sure you're aware that obviously there are different programs for your reception children and year 1, which is obviously the balance program, and then also year 3-4s, they can access to level 1, and then your 5-6s can access the level 2. We have actually been allocated some extra funding through Active Cornwall, so we are able to offer more places to schools. We also provide Learn to Ride as well, so that's another program that we can offer your children. So really there's a pathway right through your school where children can actually access bikeability, which is obviously another great activity that they can do within school and outside with families. We are also looking, because we're aware that a lot of year 6s missed the level 2 at the end of last year due to lockdown. So we're looking to actually offer that level 2 provision at the secondary school, just so they can then access the level 3 as well. So we're going to have funding that can cover some of that as well, just so you know. If you've obviously got any questions around the bikeability and no one's been in touch, or you wanted to access one of the programs that you're not already accessing, then just drop me either a message in the chat or a private email, and I'll get that sorted and organised for you. Did anyone have any questions around the bikeability, or are you all happy with the provision and what's happening at the moment? I think questions just come in. Emily, we had bikeability come into school last half term for use. Oh, brilliant. So Popero's had yours, and I think you might have some balance coming into yours as well, Emily, as well. That's been booked in. Right, moving on to the next one. How schools will manage to complete the winter games if they're not running clubs? I think a lot of the secondary schools with the winter and virtual games use a lot of the after school clubs to run the activities for the virtual games. I think I would say that some of the primaries actually do it during their PE lessons. Are you having issues trying to complete the competitions, or the events? Do you do it usually during curriculum time or after school club? Is there any feedback on the virtual competitions that you've been receiving? Richard from Sir Jeffreys, how are you finding them, or are you not? You there, Richard? Oh, he's busy typing.
He hasn't got a microphone, so he has typed a message.
I haven't got a microphone. There you go. I won't ask Richard then. What about you, Emily from Top Arrow? Are you managing to access the virtual competitions?
Yeah, so yesterday I downloaded, because it's the first week next week, isn't it? So I downloaded from Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 activities to do. Just initial feedback from the teachers have said there's quite a lot to do to fit into 1 week. So I was just wondering whether we can just access a couple of the activities for each key stage as opposed to doing all of them, because I think there's about sort of 6 for each one.
Yeah, definitely. You can either enter one or you can enter all of them. It's totally up to you how you want to play it. They were actually due to come out a lot sooner, a bit like the summer games. What we wanted to do is have them out a lot sooner so you can actually start doing the competitions, you know, a couple of weeks prior before having to submit the results. Because I know sometimes it does fall to the PE coordinator to actually run the events for every year group. In some schools, some of the actual class teachers will run the events and then just submit their own results. But I know it's different, obviously, in each and every other school. So, and then sometimes I know that people run them during the after school clubs as well. So yes, it's totally up to the schools. You can either enter one or you can enter all of them. So that's down to you and your time and obviously space and everything with the school.
Lovely.
If I just come in as well on that one. With the individual challenges, I suppose children could actually be sent home to do them. So for homework, so like the gymnastics challenges, for example, is really simple to do in your lounge. So parents could get involved with them. It's a really nice opportunity to take that home and get parents to get on board as well. So if you're finding that you're struggling with the time that you've got in school, as we appreciate you're all really, really busy, then set it as a home challenge, and then get them to bring the results with them the next day.
Oh, got a question in from Anna. This one I'll probably direct to Michelle. A swimming question. What do we do if the pools remain closed for long periods? Our pools didn't open until October and now it's shut again. Even if it does reopen, if schools feel it isn't safe to take the children, what do we do? Our pool allows public into the changing rooms at the same time as children. Michelle, how would you feedback on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to say is that Swim England's guidance around swimming changing is that they can go to the pool beach ready, which means they have their swimming costumes on underneath their school uniforms, which when they arrive means that they can just go into, I know at Launceston they have got a little hall or gym there, so for arrival it may be that you could ask the swimming pool to provide space. Obviously that's not ideal at the end of the session because you do need somewhere to get changed, but I would say really if swimming does start again that your pool needs to try and provide a separate space away from the public to be able to change, and maybe that at Launceston that little gym that they've got at the side might be one option, but they can go beach ready, and then that means they only need a space at the end of the session. I think what I will do as a result of this seminar is email Sue at AFP to ask the question about, you know, if this goes on too long, obviously we're going to be back in the same position with the swimming data for next year, and what's being done about that, because it may well be that you're once again having to do predicted results rather than actual results. But what I would say is we would hope the swimming pools would be open again in the spring, and maybe it is only this year that year 6 are able to go swimming, but the priority if the pools do open would have to go to year 6 really, because that is the year group that you are being monitored on at this moment in time. So I think try and get an extra space for changing at the end of the session. but also give priority to year sixes, and it may well be that the other year groups, you know, just can't swim this year. So hopefully that's helped. But I will email Sue and ask her the question if they're going to change the reporting in any way.
Do you think there's any scope around, like, if it is like obviously this year's sixes and next year's sixes, that they might introduce something in the secondary schools to get those children covered?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, and we're only on a 1-year spending review, so that might mean that if the PE money is extended, it is only again for 1 year. So it's really tricky to know where they're going to put the funding at this moment in time. But yeah, that you may well get a top-up swimming grant that comes out because, you know, we have got children on our schools that have not swam now for 6 months. So we may see some funding extra coming in, but I think, you know, that's a question really for the future and dependent on the spending review.
It's a guessing game, isn't it? Next question.
Does that answer your question, Anna? Does that help?
Yeah, that's great, thanks. We've had issues with Launceston before in terms of like the public being in the changing rooms, and they're not all that flexible. So I suppose I just need some documentation from like the national governing bodies to take to them and say, no, we have to be in a separate place. They can't mix with public because that's not appropriate with COVID.
Yeah, and that I think you will find that in the Swim England guidance.
Brilliant, thank you. I'll have a look at it.
So next one, wet weather ideas. Obviously, a lot of you are running all your PE sessions outside, but obviously the weather is changing. We at Arena obviously support and work with iMoves. I don't know if all of you use it. I know some of you on the actual workshop do. Is there any others sites that you use that could help other schools? Or if you are using iMoves, did you want to share any of the good practice?
Just put the website up there, Julie. You can sign up for a free trial on iMoves. So if you're worried that the school might not use it, even if you only use it now for a couple of weeks, there is a free trial available, and it does give you the opportunity to try it out with your school. And the active blasts are particularly popular, and you can get a subscription just to the active blast for about £300 for the year, so you don't need to buy the full package.
Just looking at Dan from Lifton. That's been a challenge for us at Lifton as well, Anna. Oh, just regarding the swimming pool. So I hope we've covered that.
I'm pretty sure that would not be COVID compliant now.
Yeah, definitely. Is there any other websites that people use? Is it Doodle as well? Another one? Is everyone happy with enough indoor and wet weather ideas to use within the school?
No, can I just say, we have probably the same difficulty as everybody, but the way our classrooms have been mapped out for COVID and the desk set and our risk assessment is that the activity in the classroom itself has to be very, very low impact. There's barely any room to walk around the desk, let alone sort of pull their chairs properly out and do anything too vigorous. Certainly some of the iMoves would work and things like the super movers on the BBC, but that, particularly for the older children, doesn't really do much bar a kind of brain break. It doesn't sort of fill a PE lesson, and currently we're being encouraged not really to use the hall at our school, which obviously people have different opinions about, but very much limited use of the hall to basically yoga type programs. But again, we have yoga as part of our PE delivery. We don't want to suddenly start just throwing it in as almost just a kind of ad hoc kind of thing too often. So I must admit, we do struggle a bit at the moment. Some of our lessons, not all of them, but perhaps one of the 2 lessons in the week in some of the classes are covered by a PE HLTA that we have as well. And for them, not being the class teacher, it's very hard for them to adapt and kind of fill the lesson with something else. Not that we want it filled with something else. We want to be doing PE, but no, we are struggling with that.
Yeah, the restriction on space and the way it's now set up. It's not like before where you could just go and shift all the tables and chairs out the way and create a bigger space. So someone's put in, they've brought table tennis equipment. That's quite good. Use that for tables. Good idea. Just noting, actually, we just run over a little bit. So if you do have any more questions, if you pop them in the chat, and I will respond to them after at the end of today. I did have a few arena updates if we had enough time, but again, if anyone's got any questions, I just wanted to make you aware of all our CPD that we're running. You should have all received that. It is on our website as well. Again, bikeability, girls football through the FA. I've noticed quite a few of you have signed up, which is brilliant. It's a really good program supported by the FA, Disney and Barclays. It's all free training, free resources. All you need to do is go up and register, make a pledge, and then do a baseline survey. And then you'll receive all your free equipment and training. But if you want any information on that, again, it is in the newsletters I send out, or you can email me. Same with Winter Games, already the virtual challenges that we put together. Just let me know if you need any support with that. And if you do need any support in any kind of area, just drop us an email and we will either send someone out, give you a call, or communicate through the email with you. Did you want to add any more, Michelle? She's gone. Okay then, guys, thanks ever so much for your time. I hope it's been useful, and I shall probably see you in some of the other workshops. Thank you. If you've got any problems with the links as well, just drop me a line and I can make sure you get the right link for your workshop as well.